They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But when I watched my ex-husband beg for money outside the restaurant I now own, the same restaurant where he used to take her on my credit card, I realized revenge tastes even better when it's served with a side of poetic justice and a 7-figure bank account. Hi, I'm Margaret. I'm 63 years old, and this is the story of how the worst day of my life became the catalyst for the best decision I ever made. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your city or state in the comments below. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. 3 years ago, I was married to David. 41 years together. 41 years of building a life, raising 2 kids, supporting his career while I put mine on hold. I was a financial analyst when we met, sharp, ambitious, with a natural gift for numbers and spotting investment opportunities. I'd graduated top of my class from Ohio State with a degree in finance and had job offers from 3 major firms in Columbus. But David wanted a traditional wife. He was old-fashioned that way, and I was young and in love, so I agreed. After our kids were born, Jessica in 1985 and Tyler in 1988, I became a full-time mother. I didn't resent it then. I loved my children, loved creating a home, loved supporting David as he climbed the corporate ladder. Once the kids left for college, I started doing freelance bookkeeping from our home office. Nothing major, just small businesses in the neighborhood who needed help organizing their finances. It kept my skills sharp and brought in a little extra money, maybe $15,000 a year, enough for my own spending money and to feel like I was contributing. David was a regional sales director overseeing accounts across Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky for a medical supply company. It was a good job, solid 6-figure salary, benefits, company car. We lived comfortably in our 3-bedroom ranch house in the suburbs of Cincinnati, in a neighborhood where everyone knew everyone. We had our routines, Friday night dinners at the Italian place on the corner, Sunday morning pancakes that I'd make while David read the newspaper, the occasional week-long vacation to Hilton Head, where we'd rent the same beach house every summer. Life wasn't fireworks anymore. The passion had faded somewhere around year 20, replaced by comfortable companionship, but it was steady, safe, predictable. I thought that's what marriage became after 4 decades. I was wrong. The changes started about 18 months before the divorce. Small things at first. David joined a gym. At 60 years old, suddenly concerned about his physique when he'd had a beer belly for the last decade. He bought new clothes, tighter fitting, more stylish than his usual department store khakis. There was expensive cologne on the bathroom counter, some designer brand I'd never heard of. He started getting his hair cut at an upscale salon instead of the barber shop he'd been going to for 20 years. Then came the late nights. 3, sometimes 4 evenings a week, he wouldn't come home until 9 or 10 p.m. Always the same excuse: important client meetings, paperwork that couldn't wait, urgent calls with the West Coast office. When I asked about it, he'd get defensive, accuse me of being paranoid, clingy, suffocating. "You don't understand business pressure, Maggie. I'm trying to secure our future, and you're interrogating me like I'm a criminal." I knew something was wrong. You don't spend 41 years with someone without developing an instinct for their lies. But I didn't want to believe it. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid, just like he said. Then I found the credit card statement. It was sitting on his desk in our home office, partially hidden under some other papers. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for the property tax bill. But there it was, a Chase Visa I didn't recognize. And the charges told a story I couldn't ignore anymore. Dinner at an expensive steakhouse downtown, $240. We hadn't been to dinner together in weeks. A jewelry purchase at Tiffany's, $1,500. I hadn't received any jewelry. A hotel charge. The Westin downtown. We lived 30 minutes from downtown Cincinnati. Why would he need a hotel? My hands were shaking when I confronted him that evening. He walked in around 8, whistling, and found me sitting at the kitchen table with the statement in front of me. "Want to explain this?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. His face went through several emotions, surprise, panic, then hardening into something cold. "You went through my things?" Your things? We're married, David. We don't have separate things. Who is she? He sat down across from me. Didn't even try to deny it. Her name is Brittany. She works for me. Brittany, 29 years old. I'd met her once at the company holiday party 6 months earlier. Blonde hair, spray tan, those microbladed eyebrows that looked drawn on with a marker. She'd been perky and sweet, calling me Mrs. Preston and complimenting my dress. And the whole time, she'd been sleeping with my husband. How long? I asked. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. 8 months, maybe 9. He said it so casually, like he was telling me how long he'd been going to the new gym. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. 8 months? You've been lying to me for 8 months? I didn't want to hurt you, Maggie, but I can't keep pretending. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy in years. So you cheated? That was your solution? I fell in love. It wasn't planned. Brittany makes me feel alive again. She's exciting, spontaneous, passionate. She makes me feel young. She's 30 years younger than you. David, of course she makes you feel young. She practically is young. He stood up, pacing our kitchen like a caged animal. I knew you wouldn't understand. You've gotten so set in your ways, Maggie. You don't care about how you look anymore. You're content to just exist day after day, doing the same boring things. I want more. I deserve more. I stared at this man I'd spent my entire adult life with, this stranger. What are you saying? I want a divorce. 3 words. That's all it took to shatter 41 years. The divorce process was brutal. 8 months of hell. David had already hired a vicious lawyer who painted me as a dependent housewife who'd contributed nothing. Ohio is an equitable distribution state, but they found every loophole. The house I'd renovated? David paid for it, so he deserved more. His 401k? He earned it. I got 40%. After 41 years, the house sold for $680,000. After paying off the mortgage, I got $204,000. From his 401k worth $890,000, I got $245,000. Total, $449,000, a used Toyota Camry, and whatever fit in my new apartment. David got over $1 million, the newer car, his full salary, and Brittany. I rented a 1-bedroom in a tired complex on the east side of Cincinnati, the kind of place with flickering hallway lights and thin walls where you could hear your neighbors arguing. It cost $875 a month and smelled faintly of cigarette smoke from the previous tenant. 450 square feet. That's what 41 years of marriage had been reduced to. I spent the first 3 weeks unpacking boxes and crying. Every item I unwrapped held a memory. The coffee mugs we'd bought on our anniversary trip to Maine. The photo albums I'd meticulously assembled, full of pictures of a happy family that no longer existed. The quilt my mother had made us as a wedding present. My kids tried to be supportive. Jessica flew in from Seattle for a long weekend, held me while I sobbed, told me Dad was an idiot. Tyler called every other day, awkward but trying, asking if I needed anything. But they had their own lives, their own families. I couldn't burden them with my breakdown. Then David and Brittany got married. 4 weeks after our divorce was final. 4 weeks. They had a destination wedding in Cancun. Posted the whole thing on Facebook, which I'd stopped using, but Jessica showed me the photos on her phone when I asked how her father was doing. Brittany in a white dress. White like this was her first marriage, like she hadn't destroyed someone else's. David in a linen suit, grinning like he'd won the lottery. The photos showed cocktails on the beach, a sunset ceremony, them dancing under string lights. Everything looked perfect. Everything looked exactly like what I'd dreamed our life would be when I was young and naive. Jessica was crying when she showed me. Mom, how could he do this? How could he just replace you like this? I didn't have an answer. I felt hollow, empty, like someone had scooped out my insides and left just a shell. The depression hit hard after that. I stopped answering phone calls, stopped doing my hair or putting on makeup. Some mornings I couldn't find a reason to get out of bed. I'd lie there, staring at the water stain on the ceiling, wondering where my life had gone so catastrophically wrong. My sister Janet came by twice a week, bringing groceries I barely touched. "Maggie, you have to snap out of this. You're going to waste away." "Maybe that would be easier," I told her once. She grabbed my shoulders, forced me to look at her. Don't you dare let him destroy you like this. You're worth so much more than what he did to you." But I didn't feel worth anything. I felt used up, thrown away, irrelevant. A woman passed her expiration date. The turning point came on a Thursday in early October. It was raining, that gray, dreary autumn rain that makes everything look washed out and hopeless. I'd forced myself to leave the apartment because I'd run out of coffee, and the thought of going even one more day without caffeine was unbearable. There was a small coffee shop 3 blocks from my apartment. Nothing fancy. Just a local place with mismatched furniture and indie music playing too loud. I ordered a large coffee, splurging at $4 when I was watching every penny, and sat by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. That's when I noticed him. A man sitting 2 tables over, staring at his laptop screen with an expression I recognized intimately. Exhaustion mixed with heartbreak. The look of someone barely holding themselves together. He was younger than me. I guessed mid-40s. Asian American, with dark hair starting to gray at the temples and glasses he kept adjusting. He was wearing a button-down shirt that looked like he'd slept in it, and there was a stack of papers next to his coffee that he wasn't reading. He caught me looking and gave a weak, embarrassed smile. "Sorry. I know I look like a mess." "You look like you're having a rough time," I said. "Rough year, actually." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You? Rough year for me, too." He closed his laptop and gestured to the empty chair at my table. "Mind if I join you? Misery loves company, right?" "Sure. Why not?" That's how I met Michael. Michael Jang, though he went by his middle name, Chen, professionally because he thought it sounded more distinctive. He'd moved to Cincinnati 3 years earlier from San Francisco for a job with a financial consulting firm, and 2 months ago, his fiancée had broken up with him. "Her name was Brittany," he said, stirring his coffee absently. "We'd been together for 2 years, engaged for 6 months. I thought we had a plan. Save up for a house, start a family eventually. Then she started working as a temporary secretary at some medical supply company, and suddenly I wasn't exciting enough anymore." I nearly dropped my coffee cup. "Brittany? Brittany Williams?" His eyes went wide. "How do you know her?" "She's married to my ex-husband." The silence that followed was profound. We just stared at each other, both of us processing this cosmic joke. Then Michael started laughing, that slightly hysterical laugh of someone who's been pushed past the point of normal reactions. "Your ex-husband is David Preston? You know him?" "I know he's the reason my relationship ended. Brittany started coming home late from work, started dressing differently, got defensive when I asked questions. Then one day she sat me down and told me she'd fallen in love with someone else, someone successful, established, who could give her the life she deserved." He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. "I was working 60-hour weeks, paying for her online marketing courses, supporting her dreams, and it wasn't enough." We talked for 4 hours that day. Compared timelines, the overlap was obvious. Brittany had been cheating on Michael with David for at least 5 months before either the breakup or my divorce happened. Whether she'd planned it or just jumped at the opportunity, we'd never know. But we were both casualties of the same betrayal. "The worst part," Michael said, "is that I really loved her. I thought she was the one. I was planning our whole future." 41 years, I told him. I gave him 41 years. We exchanged phone numbers that day, started meeting for coffee regularly. It wasn't romantic. Neither of us was in any state for that. It was survival. Having someone who understood, who'd been through the same betrayal, made the grief more bearable. Michael told me about his job at the consulting firm. He was a financial analyst specializing in business investments and restructuring. He had a gift for seeing potential where others saw risk, for finding solutions to complex financial problems. But he was tired of working for someone else, tired of his ideas being watered down by committees and risk-averse partners. "I've been dreaming about starting my own firm," he told me during one of our coffee meetings. It had become a routine. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, we'd meet at that same coffee shop. "I have the expertise, the connections, the business plan. I just don't have the capital, or honestly, the confidence. Starting a business alone is terrifying." "Can I see your business plan?" I asked. He pulled it up on his laptop. I spent an hour reading through it, my old financial analyst brain waking up from its long sleep. It was brilliant. He'd identified a gap in the market. Businesses too large for basic bookkeeping services, but too small to afford the massive consulting firms. Companies with annual revenues between $5 and $50 million, looking to optimize their financial operations, but priced out of traditional options. His proposed firm would offer comprehensive financial consulting at competitive rates. Cash flow management, investment strategy, operational efficiency, tax optimization. Now, he'd already identified potential clients from his current job, companies that couldn't afford his firm's premium fees but desperately needed help. The financial projections were conservative but showed strong growth potential. With the right capital and effort, the firm could be profitable within 12 months and scaling significantly by year 3. "Michael, this is really good," I said. "You think so?" My ex-fiancé thought it was a waste of time, said I should just keep my stable job and stop dreaming. I looked at this man who'd been betrayed by the same woman who destroyed my life, who was smart and talented, but beaten down by rejection. And I made a decision that would change everything. "What if we did this together?" I asked. He stared at me. "What?" "Partners, equal partners. I have capital, not a fortune, but enough for a solid start. You have the expertise and connections. I used to be a financial analyst before I gave up my career. I'm good with numbers, good with clients, good at seeing the practical side of things. We could do this together. Maggie, you barely know me. We've been meeting for coffee for 3 weeks? I know you're brilliant. I know you're hardworking. I know you're honest, because if you weren't, you would have lied about Brittany when you recognized her name. And I know we both got destroyed by the same 2 people. Maybe it's time we turn that pain into something productive." Michael was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. The first real smile I'd seen from him. "You know what? Let's do it. Let's build something amazing." That's how Preston Chen Financial Consulting was born. Yes, I kept David's last name for the business. That decision would prove deliciously ironic later, but at the time it was just practical. We filed the LLC paperwork in November, rented a tiny office space in a shared business complex, 2 desks, 1 conference room we shared with 5 other businesses, and a view of the parking lot. It cost us $650 a month. I contributed $180,000 of my divorce settlement as initial capital. Michael matched it with his savings and a small business loan his credit union approved based on his detailed business plan and work history. We spent December building our brand, creating marketing materials, and leveraging every connection we had. Michael reached out to former clients from his old firm, companies he knew needed help but couldn't afford his previous employer's rates. I contacted every small business owner I'd done bookkeeping for over the years. We sent out 200 introductory packets, offering free consultations to establish our reputation. By January, we had our first client. Jenkins Hardware, a local chain of 3 stores that had been family-owned for 50 years. The current owner, Tom Jenkins, was the founder's grandson. He was drowning in outdated systems, poor inventory management, and cash flow problems that were slowly killing his business. Banks wouldn't loan him money because his books were a mess, and he couldn't afford to fix his books without money. Michael and I spent 3 weeks analyzing every aspect of his business. I personally went to each store, observed operations, talked to employees and customers. Michael dove into the financial records. 15 years of poorly organized data. We found redundancies, inefficiencies, and opportunities Tom hadn't seen. Our recommendations were comprehensive. renegotiate terms with suppliers. We showed him how to use his 50-year relationship as leverage for better rates. Implement a modern inventory management system. We found an affordable software solution and trained his staff. Restructure his debt with his current lenders. Michael created projections showing how our changes would improve his ability to repay. Cut 2 underperforming product lines and expand 3 profitable ones. Tom was skeptical at first. These were big changes for a man who'd been doing things the same way for decades. But we walked him through every step, showed him the math, made him understand not just what to change, but why. 6 months later, Jenkins Hardware had improved their profit margins by 18%. Their cash flow was steady. They'd paid down 10% of their debt. Tom was so thrilled he told everyone he knew about us. Referrals started coming in. A family restaurant struggling with food costs and high employee turnover. A small manufacturing company that couldn't figure out why they weren't profitable despite strong sales. A boutique retail chain that was considering bankruptcy. We took them all on, worked 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I'd arrive at the office at 6 in the morning and leave at 10 at night. But I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't depressed. I was energized, purposeful, alive in a way I hadn't felt in decades. Michael and I worked perfectly together. He handled the complex investment strategies, the big picture financial planning. I focused on practical operational finances and client relations. He was creative and bold, seeing opportunities where others saw risk. I was cautious and detail-oriented, making sure we didn't promise what we couldn't deliver. We challenged each other, respected each other, trusted each other completely. And somewhere along the way, we became family. Not romantically. Neither of us wanted that. We'd both been burned by romance and weren't interested in complicating our partnership. But Michael became my best friend, my brother, my partner in every sense of the word. By year one's end, we had 15 clients and $480,000 in revenue. After expenses and our $65,000 salaries, we reinvested profits. We hired 2 junior analysts. Year 2, we exploded. 27 new clients. Revenue hit $1.2 million. We moved downtown to a proper office suite, hired an office manager and 2 more analysts. Michael and I were each earning 6 figures now. I bought my first new car since the divorce, a Lexus SUV, moved into a beautiful 2-bedroom condo with floor-to-ceiling windows and a city view. I started caring for myself again. Professional hair color and cuts every 6 weeks, clothes that made me feel confident, yoga classes. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a successful businesswoman, not a discarded wife. Meanwhile, David and Brittany's fairy tale was crumbling. Mutual friends couldn't help but gossip. David had retired early at 61 to enjoy life. They'd bought a luxury condo downtown, a boat, traveled constantly. Brittany quit working to become a lifestyle influencer. Designer bags, expensive brunches, filtered Instagram posts. But that lifestyle cost money. David's pension and retirement savings weren't infinite, and they were burning through it. Then David's health declined. High blood pressure, a minor heart attack scare, diabetes, medical bills piled up, and Brittany wasn't interested in playing nurse to a sick old man. Year 3 was our breakout. We landed a major contract with Kitchen Concepts, a 12-location restaurant chain struggling post-pandemic. We spent 2 months analyzing everything, then made aggressive recommendations, restructure finances, renegotiate every lease, pivot to delivery-focused models, cut underperforming menu items, invest in efficiency technology. Over 18 months, Kitchen Concepts went from barely surviving to thriving, not just profitable, expanding. The owner, Robert Delgado, called us in. "You saved my family's business. My father started this 40 years ago. You gave me my life back." He offered us something unexpected: equity in a new upscale casual dining restaurant downtown. Prime location, excellent concept. Michael and I studied the numbers. We said yes. Harvest and Rye opened to incredible reviews. Within 6 months, every table was booked weeks in advance. Our 15% equity stake generated serious returns. Robert opened 2 more locations, offering us the same deal each time. Preston Chen Financial was now valued at $4.2 million, 68 clients, 12 employees, a waiting list we couldn't accommodate. Michael and I were pulling in high 6-figure salaries. Between consulting income and equity stakes in businesses we'd helped turn around, we were genuinely wealthy. I bought a townhouse in Hyde Park, Cincinnati's most prestigious neighborhood. 3 stories, exposed brick, rooftop terrace, $895,000 paid cash. I furnished it exactly how I wanted, no compromises. I started really traveling. Paris with college girlfriends, staying in the Marais, eating at Michelin-starred restaurants, Tuscany, New Zealand, Peru, Croatia, places I dreamed about for decades. If you're enjoying this story and want to hear more like it, please hit that subscribe button. I was living my best life. My daughter Jessica said she'd never seen me so happy. My son Tyler told me I was inspirational, that watching me rebuild had changed how he viewed his own challenges. Michael was thriving too, dating a lovely yoga teacher named Diana. We still had weekly dinners, still ran our business as equals. The universe has a funny way of coming full circle. 18 months ago, Michael and I had dinner at Harvest and Rye, our monthly check-in. I wore a cream silk blouse from Paris, tailored pants, heels, my hair professionally styled. I felt like $1 million. We were at our usual corner table when I saw them, David and Brittany at the host stand. No reservation. The restaurant was fully booked, as always. They were trying to sweet-talk their way in. David looked so much older, not distinguished, worn down, gray skin, weight gain. Brittany looked harder. Still blonde and perfect, but with stress lines makeup couldn't hide. Her designer bag was a season old. I noticed these things now. Michael tensed. "Want to leave?" "No, I want to stay." David's eyes swept the room and landed on me. His mouth fell open. Complete shock. I smiled slightly, raised my wine glass. Simple acknowledgement. Brittany followed his gaze. Confusion, then recognition, then fear when she saw Michael beside me. They left quickly, almost fled. Michael raised his glass. "How does that feel?" "Like closure. They're not even characters in my story anymore." 2 weeks later, David called. I almost didn't answer. I'd kept his number saved just so I could ignore it. But curiosity got the better of me. After 3 years of silence, what would make him break it? "Maggie." His voice was strained, hoarse. He sounded like he'd been crying. "Please don't hang up." "What do you want, David?" "I need to talk to you. His voice broke. "I need help." "Help with what?" "Financial help. Maggie, we're in serious trouble. The condo is in foreclosure. We have over $200,000 in credit card debt, medical bills I can't pay, my pension isn't enough, and my retirement savings are almost gone. I don't know what to do." I let the silence stretch out. Let him sit in his desperation. The old me might have felt sorry for him. The new me just felt nothing. "I saw you at that restaurant," he continued, his words tumbling out in a rush. "You looked amazing, successful, confident. And Michael Chen. You were with Michael Chen. He was Brittany's fiancé. Yes, I know. We're business partners. We own part of that restaurant, actually, along with several other very successful ventures." The silence on his end was profound. I could almost hear his brain trying to process what I was saying. "You own part of Harvest and Rye?" he finally managed. "Michael and I built a financial consulting firm together, Preston Chen Financial. Maybe you've heard of it? We're doing quite well. Very well, actually." Preston Chen. He said it slowly, like he was tasting the words. "That's the firm everyone's talking about, the one that saved Kitchen Concepts from bankruptcy. That's your company?" "That's my company, co-owned equally with Michael. We're one of the most successful consulting firms in the region now. We have a waiting list of clients, 12 employees, and we're opening a second office in Columbus next quarter." I had no idea. I thought, after the divorce, you'd just fade away, give up, become irrelevant? My voice was sharp now, cutting. "That's what you wanted, wasn't it? You wanted to believe I couldn't survive without you, that I was nothing without your support. No, Maggie, please. I'm begging you. We're going to lose everything. I might lose my pension if we declare bankruptcy. My health is terrible. My diabetes is out of control. I had another scare with my heart last month. I can't afford my medications. Brittany's threatening to leave if I can't fix this financial mess. Everything is falling apart. And you thought of me, your ex-wife, the woman you said had let herself go, the woman you threw away for a secretary young enough to be your daughter, the woman whose 41 years of loyalty and sacrifice meant nothing to you. I was wrong. I was so wrong about everything. Leaving you was the worst mistake of my life. I was having some kind of midlife crisis, and I destroyed everything good, everything real. I see that now. The grass wasn't greener, Maggie. It was artificial turf, and now I'm paying the price. That's very poetic. Did you rehearse that before calling me? I deserve that. I deserve all of it. But Maggie, I'm desperate. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back somehow. You'll pay me back? With what money, David? The money you don't have? The money you burned through trying to keep your trophy wife happy? The retirement you squandered on boats and vacations and maintaining an image you couldn't afford? Please. He was crying now, actually sobbing into the phone. I know I don't deserve your help. I know I treated you horribly. I know I destroyed our family. But we were married for 41 years. That has to count for something. It has to mean something. You're right. It does count for something. It taught me that I'm stronger than I ever knew, that I don't need you, that I never needed you, that I'm better off without you. So you won't help me? That's your final answer? I took a deep breath. This was the moment I'd never knew I was waiting for, the moment where I got to choose who I was going to be. David, here's what I learned after you left me. Actions have consequences. You chose a 29-year-old secretary over 41 years of marriage. You chose flash and excitement over substance and partnership. You chose to burn through your retirement playing sugar daddy instead of being responsible and planning for your actual future. Those were your choices. Every single one of them. I know, but I'm not finished. You humiliated me in front of our friends, our family, our children. You made me feel worthless, used up, disposable. You told me I'd let myself go when really you just wanted an excuse to chase someone young enough to make you feel virile again. You devastated our children. Do you know Jessica didn't speak to you for 6 months? You threw away our history, our partnership, our family, like it was garbage. And now that your choices have caught up with you, now that reality has set in, you want me to bail you out? I'm sorry. God, Maggie, I'm so sorry. I've been sorry for so long. I'm sure you are. Sorry that your consequences hurt. Sorry that your mistakes caught up with you. Sorry that your young wife isn't interested in staying with a broke, sick old man. But you're not sorry for what you did to me. You're sorry for what you did to yourself. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed, genuinely laughed. It felt good. You want to talk about fair? You got over $1 million in our divorce while I got less than half of what I was entitled to. You got to keep working, keep your income, keep your comfortable life while I had to start over with nothing. You got to walk away from the wreckage while I fell apart. You got your young bride and your boat and your fantasy while I cried myself to sleep in a studio apartment that smelled like smoke. And now you want to lecture me about fair? So that's it? You're just going to let me drown? I'm not letting you do anything, David. You did this to yourself. But I'll tell you what I will do. I'll give you the same advice I'd give anyone in your situation, free of charge. Consider it my parting gift. A part-time job? I'm 64. I'm 66 running a multi-million-dollar company. Age is just a number. The question is whether you're willing to work. That's it? What did you expect? A check? Open arms? Did you think success made me forget the pain? I don't know what I hoped. You hoped I'd save you, like I always did, put you first. But David, I don't owe you anything. You made your bed. So this is goodbye? This was goodbye 3 years ago. This is just confirmation." I hung up. Michael took me for celebratory drinks. "How do you feel?" "Free. Finally, completely free. He's not the villain anymore. He's just a lesson I learned." 3 months later, David and Brittany separated. She found another man with money. David moved into a small apartment, got a job at Home Depot, slowly worked his way out of debt. I felt nothing. He was a stranger from a previous life I barely remembered. My life today looks nothing like I imagined at 63. Preston Chen just signed its largest contract ever, a multi-million-dollar deal with a private equity firm. We're opening a second office in Columbus. We're being featured in a major business journal next month. I have real money, more than David and I ever had combined. I have respect, influence. Most importantly, I have myself back. Not who I was at 25 or 63, but someone stronger, wiser, more confident. I travel constantly. First class, nice hotels. I took Jessica to London last spring. Tyler's family visited at Christmas. My grandchildren think Grandma is the coolest person they know. Michael and I are still partners in every sense. Diana usually joins our Sunday dinners. We're a chosen family. Last month, I spoke at a women's business conference in Chicago. 300 women heard me talk about overcoming setbacks. I stood on that stage in a designer suit from New York and told them it's never too late. That 63, or any age, isn't the end. That sometimes the worst thing that happens pushes you toward who you were always meant to be. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Dozens lined up afterward. Women going through divorces, dealing with betrayals, feeling lost. I hugged them, listened, shared my email. And I told them what I wish someone had told me. Your value isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. Your life isn't over because someone left. And sometimes the worst betrayal becomes the greatest liberation. I'm 66 now, wealthy beyond imagination, respected, happy, genuinely, deeply happy. And the man who threw me away, he's working retail, living in a studio, facing his consequences daily. I don't wish him harm. I don't wish him well. I simply don't think about him at all. That's the real victory, not the money or success. The real victory is absolute indifference. He can't hurt me because I've moved so far past him, he can't even reach me. David wanted his secretary, wanted to feel young and exciting, and I wanted myself back. The ambitious, capable woman I was before I spent 4 decades shrinking to fit his expectations. We both got exactly what we wanted, and I got the much better deal. Thank you for letting me share my story.